knew where I was, the water had spat me up into the sun. The world was sparkling all about me like blue and green and yellow semi-precious stones. I dashed the water from my eyes. I was panting, as after a strenuous exertion, but floating without effort. I dived and dived again, and each time popped up like a cork. The gray rock mocked me, bobbing on the water easy as a life buoy. I knew when I was beaten. I turned back. The flowers nodded like bright, knowledgeable children as I trundled them down the hall. I felt silly in my sage green volunteer's uniform, and superfluous, unlike the white uniformed doctors and nurses, or even the brown uniformed scrub women with their mops and their buckets of grimy water who passed me without a word. If I had been getting paid, no matter how little, I could at least count this a proper job, but all I got for a morning of pushing around magazines and candy and flowers was a free lunch. My mother said the cure for thinking too much about yourself was helping somebody who was worse off than you. So, Teresa had arranged for me to sign on as a volunteer at our local hospital. It was difficult to be a volunteer at this hospital because that's what all the junior league women wanted to do. But luckily for me, a lot of them were away on vacation. I hoped they would send me to a ward with some really gruesome cases, who would see through my numb, dumb face to how I meant well, and be grateful. But the head of the volunteers, a society lady at our church, took one look at me and said, "You're on maternity." So I rode the elevator up 3 flights to the maternity ward and reported to the head nurse. She gave me a trolley of flowers. I was supposed to put the right faces at the right beds in the right rooms. But before I came to the door of the first room, I noticed that a lot of the flowers were droopy and brown at the edges. I thought it would be discouraging for a woman who just had a baby to see somebody plonk down a big bouquet of dead flowers in front of her. So I steered the trolley to a wash basin in an alcove in the hall and began to pick out all the flowers that were dead. Then I picked out all those that were dying. There was no wastebasket in sight, so I crumbled the flowers up and laid them in the deep white basin. The basin felt cold as a tomb. I smiled. This must be how they laid the bodies away in the hospital morgue. My gesture in its small way echoed the larger gesture of doctors and nurses. I swung the door of the first room open and walked in, dragging my trolley. A couple of nurses jumped up and I had a confused impression of shelves and medicine cabinets. "What do you want?" one of the nurses demanded sternly. I couldn't tell one from the other, they all looked just alike. "I'm taking the flowers